Dear students, after studying series shunt feedback amplifier, now we'll study series feedback amplifier. So this is the circuit diagram of series feedback amplifier. As you can see, this is a feedback block and this is the gain block. So here the feedback network at the input side is connected in series. At the output side of the amplifier, the feedback network is connected in series. So both at the input and output side it is connected in series, hence the name series feedback amplifier. So rest all is same. So here we are giving the source, that is Vs, and the effective input voltage is Vi. So this is the feedback that is applied, Vf. Okay. So here we are getting the output current, that is I0. The input current is also given here, that is II. So whereas small signal equivalent circuit is shown below. So this is the small signal equivalent circuit Vs and this is the input resistance RIF. So this is the output resistance RF. Here we are representing a dependent current source as Vs into EF. Okay. So this is the equivalent circuit of this series feedback amplifier network. So the series feedback topology stabilizes I0 by Vs. So because here we are taking output as the current I0, whereas the input provided is Vs. Okay, as you can see in equivalent circuit also, input is Vs, whereas the output drawn here across the load is I0. So it is I0 by Vs and is therefore best suited for transconductance amplifier. So this series feedback amplifier is very much suitable for transconductance type of amplifier because transconductance also I by V. So here in this diagram shows the ideal structure for series feedback. It consists of unilateral open loop type of amplifier. A circuit means gain circuit of an ideal feed, and below we have, this is A circuit, and below we have beta circuit or a feedback circuit. So note that in this case A is a transconductance. So transconductance A is given by the output current I0 divided by input voltage, that is Vi. While beta is a trans resistance, thus the loop gain A beta remains dimensionless quantity as it should always be. So beta is a sum factor. So A beta is some factor, so that is dimensionless. So in an ideal structure of the diagram shown, the load and source resistance have been absorbed inside the A circuit. So here we can see that load and the source resistance inside the circuit. Thus the circuit follows the ideal feedback model of the basic feedback model. So therefore we can write that. So that is the basic feedback network we used to write, that is gain of the amplifier AF as A divided by 1 plus A beta. So which is here the gain of the amplifier is given as I0 by Vs. I0 is the current drawn to the voltage that is provided. So again, in order to measure the output resistance ROF, this is the equivalent circuit that is drawn. Okay, the transconductance with feedback is included in the equivalent circuit model of the feedback amplifier. So in this model, RIF is the input resistance with feedback. Using the analysis, so we can show that RIF is equal to Ri into 1 plus A beta. So that is high input impedance. We already discussed this in the previous slides. The input impedance is increased, so therefore 1 plus A beta factor gets multiplied to the Ri. So the effective input impedance of this kind of amplifier is increased, so Ri into 1 plus A beta, whereas the output impedance we'll see now. So this is the output impedance. So how they are writing output impedance? ROF is equal to V divided by I1. So this is the expression they are writing. Okay, so how we are getting this ROF? So now we are eliminating this source, that is Vs source to, we are setting this Vs source to 0. So what we can write? So here in this basic diagram, now the source voltage is not there. Okay, so that means it is connected as short circuit. So at that time, what is effective input voltage? As you know, the input voltage Xi is nothing but the source minus feedback, Xs minus Xs. So here Vi is nothing but Vs minus Vf. If Vs is 0, Vi is nothing but minus Vf. Okay, so here applying the same rule. So when the source value is 0, so the input becomes minus of feedback. Okay, so what is Vf? Vf is equal to beta into I naught. So how we are getting beta into I naught? That is from this circuit we are taking. Vf is equal to the same thing, potential between these two ends. What is the potential between these two ends? That is beta into I naught, the voltage source, dependent voltage source that is connected, beta into I naught. So therefore we are writing Vf as beta into I naught. So which is also is equal to beta into I1. This is also from the circuit. So thus for that circuit we can obtain V is equal to I into R. So this is from the equivalent circuit. Okay, if we are measuring this voltage V is nothing but node voltage. So what is the node? This is the node V. So what is the current that is flowing out? That is AVI. So the current which is flowing out, we take it as a minus AVI. The current which is entering, we'll take it as a positive. So I1 minus AVI into the resistance that is connected is R. So we are writing the same thing here, I1 minus AVI into R. Okay. Further, what is A we are substituting? Sorry, what is Vi? We are substituting. What is Vi? Minus beta into I1. So minus into minus plus. So we are getting this term. So if we observe, V is equal to what? I into R. Okay. So here, what is ROF? ROF is, if we take this I term outside, so what is remaining? 1 plus A beta. Okay. So 1 plus A beta into R naught. So that is the basic impedance of the circuit is R naught or Z naught. It is multiplied by the amount of feedback factor, that is 1 plus A beta. So therefore output impedance is also increased since it is a series type of a feedback amplifier. So input resistance is also increased. So output resistance is also increased. So it is a series type of a feedback amplifier. So next is shunt feedback amplifier. Okay, so here you can say that this see here, this is the A circuit, that is gain circuit. This is feedback circuit or a beta circuit. Okay, beta circuit and A circuit. Here the beta circuit at the input side to the A circuit is connected in parallel, hence the name shunt at the input side. Whereas at the output side also beta circuit is connected in parallel with the A circuit. So we call it as a again shunt. So it is called by the name shunt feedback network. So observe here, what is the input that we are providing? That is current Is. So what is the output we are giving here? V. So V by I. Okay, V by I is nothing but resistance. So this kind of a feedback amplifier is called as transresistance amplifier, transresistance feedback amplifier. So this is the ideal structure of the shunt feedback amplifier. So here the diagram shows the ideal structure of the shunt feedback amplifier. Here the A circuit has an input resistance Ri and a trans resistance A and an output resistance R0. The beta circuit is a voltage controlled current source and beta is a transconductance. The closed loop gain AF is therefore defined as, the closed loop gain AF is given by, so look at the circuit. So what is at the output side? V0. What is at the input side? Is. So gain is equal to output by input. So therefore gain is given by V0 divided by Is. So AF gain is equal to, gain of the circuit is equal to V0 divided by Is. So and is given by, so usually what is the gain of the amplifier? A divided by 1 plus A beta. So that is the gain of So this is the gain of the amplifier, A divided by 1 plus A beta. So input resistance of the feedback is given by, so input resistance is low because we are providing current as the input. So therefore input resistance is low. We are giving Vs, okay, at that time the input resistance may be high. So here we are providing current as the input. So RIF is equal to Ri divided by 1 plus A beta. So here we know that shunt connection at the input results in reduced input impedance. So because of this the input impedance is reduced, and also note that the resistance is the resistance seen by the source Is. So here the resistance is resistance seen by the source Is. So when you deactivate this, it is an open circuit. When you look into the circuit, so that is our RIF. Okay, so that RIF is Ri divided by 1 plus A beta. So here we know that the shunt connection at the input results in reduced input impedance. So and the output resistance with the feedback is also given by, so output resistance is Ro divided by 1 plus A beta. So here output resistance is looking into the circuit from this side. So that is given as R0 divided by 1 plus A beta. So here we note that the shunt connection at the output is reduced. Okay, so here the output resistance is reduced. So we need to form the table so it will not be confusing. So one side we have to write down shunt feedback, so shunt series feedback, like that, all four combination. Then we have to write down, so what is the gain expression, what is the input resistance with feedback, what is the output resistance with feedback. Then it is very easy to remember. So shunt feedback network is as shown in the diagram. So basic amplifier network, this is the feedback, this is port 1, this is port 2. So here it is the realization. Okay, A circuit. So here input current is given, source resistance. So here comes the load resistance. Here the resistance which is connected from port 1 to 1 to 1 dash, so it is called as R11. Here one more resistance is connected in the port 2, so this resistance is called as R22. So whereas R11 is obtained from, so how to evaluate this R11? So R11 is obtained from the feedback network from the port 1 by making the port 2 short circuit. Okay, so making this port 1 open circuit looking into the network, so that is our R11. Whereas R22 making this port 1 short circuit and looking into the network from port 2, that is our R22. And the gain is defined as you know, output is V0 and the input is current I. So gain is provided as V out divided by II. So then beta is obtained from, so here comes the feedback network. Okay, so that is beta. So beta is found from, beta is equal to IF by V0. So here we are providing the feedback current IF, here is the output voltage. Therefore beta is given by IF by V0, where V1 is equal to 0. Here the port 1, the voltage across the port 1 must be 0. So here it is justified when the forward Y parameters satisfy the condition. So here Y21 of the feedback network is very much less than Y21 of the basic amplifier, that is admittance of the feedback network from port 2 to port 1 must be very much lesser than the basic amplifier admittance from port 2 to port 1. And finally we note that RIF and R0, so all this condition is for a practical circuit. So this thing what we have discussed is for a ideal circuit. So what is RIF and ROF? So Rin is equal to 1 over 1 by RIF minus 1 by RS. Similarly Rout is equal to 1 divided by ROF minus 1 divided by RL. So next, the last combination is shunt series type of feedback amplifier. So here, as you can observe, this is a A circuit, okay, and this is a beta circuit, feedback circuit. So feedback circuit at the input side to the A circuit and the input side, so it is connected in parallel, hence the name shunt. Whereas at the output side, the beta circuit is connected in series. So therefore the name shunt series type of feedback amplifier. So rest all is, here the input is also current, the output is also current. So you can take gain as I0 divided by IR divided by IS. So we can say this as a current amplifier, because input is also current, output is also current. So diagram shows the ideal structure of the shunt series feedback amplifier. It is a current amplifier, as we discussed, whose gain is given by, so current amplifier gain is given by I0 divided by IS. So we know that the gain of the basic amplifier is A divided by 1 plus A beta. So input resistance with feedback is the resistance seen by the source S and it's given by, so input resistance RIF is the resistance by looking into the network from this port, and it is Ri divided by 1 plus A beta. We can observe that the resistance is reduced because it is divided by feedback factor, while ROF is the output resistance by looking into the network from the port, second port, okay. So here ROF is equal to R0 into 1 plus A beta, okay. So here it is multiplied, so that is output impedance is increased, input impedance is decreased, whereas output impedance is increased. So next is shunt series feedback amplifier basic circuit. So here we are providing input current, output current, A circuit, this is beta circuit, basic amplifier circuit and beta circuit. This is port 1 and this is port 2. Okay, for a practical feedback amplifier, so here we assume that the forward transmission occur in the basic amplifier. Here we measure G21 of the feedback network is very much less than G21 of the basic amplifier from port 2 to port 1, and as well as G12 of the basic amplifier is less than G12 of the feedback network. So most of the reverse transmission take place in the feedback network. So we know that RIF and ROF have been determined using a feedback equations, that is these equations. These are the feedback equation. RIF is found by this expression, ROF is found by this expression. The input and output resistance of the amplifier proper Rin and Rout is given by these two expression. This is the expression for Rin and this is the expression for Rout. So this is the finding how to find A and beta, okay. So you can see here input is II, output is I0, okay. Here series resistance RS is that is RS resistance is connected. Here the input resistance Rin, here the output resistance looking into the network from these 2 points, so that is R0. Load resistance, the resistance connected from port 2 to port 2 to 2, that is R22. Here R1 it is connected in parallel Y, okay. So why? Because here the current source is there, so therefore it is connected in parallel. So here comes the feedback network, okay, by looking into the port, okay. Here R22 looking into the port 2, and the gain is defined by I0 by II, that is output current by input current what we are providing. So next is beta is obtained from this circuit. Beta is given by IF divided by I0. So this is IF and this is I0. Dear students, after learning feedback amplifier, now we'll move for the next topic, that is output stages and power amplifier. So, introduction. An important function of output stage is to provide the amplifier with low output resistance so that it can deliver the output signal to the load without loss of gain. So, what is the purpose of providing a low output resistance? So, why we need to provide low output resistance? So, because in order to get the output signal without any loss at the load terminal. Since the output stage is the final stage of the amplifier, it usually deals with relatively large signals. So output stage means it is usually having many large signal with a larger amplitude. Such thus the small signal approximation and model either are not applicable and must be used with care. So nevertheless, linearity remains a very important requirement. In fact, measure of goodness of the design of the output stage is total harmonic distortion it introduces. So we need to measure. So what is a harmonic THD, total harmonic distortion, introduced in the output stage? So this is the RMS value of the harmonic components of the output signal, excluding the fundamental, expressed as the percentage of RMS of the fundamental. The high fidelity audio power amplifier features of THD of the order of a fraction of a percent. Okay, usually it is used in an audio power amplifier. So here we are measuring what is the total harmonic distortion is introduced at the output stage. The most challenging requirement is in the design of the output stage is that it deliver the required amount of power to the load in an efficient manner. So we need to design such that the output stage is able to deliver only the required amount of power to the load in an efficient manner. So this implies that power dissipated in the output stage transistor must be as low as possible. So power dissipation, what is a optimization? Power dissipation must be as low as possible. So therefore at the output transistor stage, the power dissipation must be as low as possible. This requirement stems mainly from the fact that the power dissipated in the transistor raises its internal junction temperature, and there is a maximum temperature in the range 150 degrees centigrade to 250 degrees centigrade for silicon, above which the transistor is destroyed. So it is the requirement, that is junction temperature, it is having some internal junction temperature range. So power dissipation is, it can handle only till that range. So there is a maximum temperature for a silicon. So that must be in the range 150 degree to 200 degree. So after this, then the transistor itself will be destroyed. So the circuit will not work at all. So then the next topic is classification of the output stages. So here the output stages are of the amplifier are classified into four classes. One is class A, class B, class AB and class C type of the amplifier, where the respective outputs are given here, that is collector current waveform of the transistor that are operating in class A, class B, class AB and class C. So this is class A. Collector current of the class A amplifier is like this. Collector current of class B amplifier is like this. So class AB amplifier is like this, whereas collector current of class C amplifier stage is this diagram. So we learn everything in detail. So output stages are classified according to the collector current waveform that results when our input signal is applied. So the first one we discuss is class A amplifier. So as the figure shows, the classification for the case of sinusoidal input signal The class A stage whose associated waveform is shown in the diagram is biased at the current collector current IC greater than the amplitude of the signal current IC. So here the collector current, this collector current IC, and this is the current reference current IC. So this is the IC. So it is greater than this collector current. Okay, it is greater than this collector current. Okay, thus the transistor in class A stage conducts the entire cycle of the input signal, that is the conduction angle is 360 degree. So conduction angle is 360 degree. It is so as shown in the first diagram. So it is biased at the current IC greater than the amplitude of the signal current IC cap. So here, so this signal current, so this IC must be greater than the signal current IC cap, which is shown here. Okay, IC cap. So thus the transistor in class A stage conducts for the entire cycle of the input cycle. So to attain that condition, that is IC to be greater than IC cap, so it will conduct for the entire cycle of the input signal, that is 360 degree conduction angle is there. So therefore it is the complete cycle what we are obtaining. So 360 degree complete cycle. So in contrast, so now we are discussing the class B type of the amplifier. So here in the class B type of the amplifier, so it is associated with the waveform as shown in diagram B, is biased at 0 DC current. Thus the transistor in class B conducts for only the half cycle, because the bias current is 0. So it conducts for only half cycle, and the input sine wave resulting in the conduction angle of only 180 degree. Okay, so here the DC bias current is 0. So this conducts for only 180 degree. So you can see the waveform in as shown here, that is in figure B. So we'll see later that the negative half of the sinusoid will be supplied by another transistor that also operates in the class B mode and conducts during the alternate half cycle. So we can use the another class B mode, and it will conduct in negative cycle will be conducted in, so by another class B type of the amplifier. So and the third one is class AB type of the amplifier. An intermediate class between A and B is the class AB type of amplifier, appropriately named as class AB. It involves biasing the transistor at non-zero DC current. What is the thing at class B? So it is having the bias current of 0 DC current. So now it is the biasing current is non-zero DC current and much smaller than the peak current of the sinusoidal signal, and as a result the transistor conducts for an interval slightly greater than the half cycle. So what is the intermediate? It's slightly larger than half cycle, that is slightly greater than 180 degree but much less than 360 degree. It will not conduct for entire 360 degree, but it will conduct above 180 degree. So you can see here in this diagram, it's not only half cycle its conduction is there, just bit greater than 180 degree the conduction you can see here, and the DC current is not 0. So that is the speciality of a class AB type of amplifier, that is intermediate between class A and class B. The class AB stage has another transistor that conducts for an interval slightly greater than that of the negative half cycle. So there is another class AB stage has another transistor that conducts for an interval slightly greater than that of the negative half cycle, and the currents from two transistors are combined in the load. So it follows that during the intervals near zero crossing of the input sinusoid, both transistors are conducting. That is zero crossing of the input side means. So where are the zero crossing lines? So here it is this. This is the zero crossing line. So at this point, zero crossing line, both transistors are operating. So and finally the fourth class, that is class C. So figure D shows the collector current waveform of the transistor operating as class C amplifier. So we observe that a transistor conducts for an interval shorter than that of the half cycle, that is conduction angle is very much less than 180 degree. The result is periodically pulsating current waveform shown. So here, so conduction is not even 180 degree, so it is less than 180 degree. So this is a pulsating waveform, that is less than 180 degree waveform. The collector current is shown. To obtain a sinusoidal output voltage, this current is passed through the parallel. So in order to obtain a sinusoidal output voltage, because it is periodically pulsating current waveform, so in order to obtain the output sinusoidal, this current is passed through LC circuit tuned to be frequency of the input sinusoid. The tuned circuit act as a band pass filter and provide an output voltage proportional to the amplitude of the fundamental component in Fourier series representation of the current waveform. So therefore the output is not sufficient. Again it is passed through the LC circuit. So now we will discuss one by one. The first one is the class A output stage. So because of its low output resistance, the emitter follower is the most popular class A output stage. For emitter follower is the most popular class A output stage of the amplifier. So this is the diagram of emitter follower. Okay. So there are the two transistors Q1 and Q2, positive plus VCC, minus VCC. So here the resistance is given. There is one more diode, that is Q3. Okay, that is VBE. Here V1 input voltage, there the output voltage V0. Here the load current is given. So this is the class A transfer, that is first thing we are discussing, the transfer characteristics. So look at the circuit diagram here. So an emitter follower Q1 is biased with a constant current supply, constant current I supplied by the transistor Q2. So Q1 is biased by the constant current supplied by the transistor I, which is supplied by Q2. So figure shows that the emitter follower Q1 is biased with the constant current I supplied by the transistor Q2, since the emitter current IE1 is equal to I plus IL. So emitter current, so here emitter current IE1 is equal to what? So the current entering this node IE1. So from this node there are two lines, that is it is also leaving. So I plus this current is also leaving from this node, that is IL. So IE1 we are writing it as I plus IL. The bias current I must be greater than the largest negative load current. So otherwise Q1 cut off and class A operation will no longer be maintained. Okay, so that is the bias current I, this bias current I must be greater than the negative load current. So it must be greater than the negative load current. If IL value is negative, so it must be greater than this load current, so that the operation of Q1 will not enter the cutoff region. Okay. So next thing is the transfer characteristics of the emitter follower is described by. So we are writing the output expression as V out is equal to V1 minus VBE1. Okay. So this V out can be written as V out can be written as V1 minus the drop here is VBE1. V1 minus VBE1, where VBE1 depends on the emitter current IE1 and thus on the load current IL. If we neglect the relative small changes, that is VBE1, the linear transfer curve is shown in the diagram, and as indicated, the positive limit of the linear region is determined by the saturation of Q1, and the output voltage VOS max is given by VCC minus VCE1 sat. So VCC minus VCE sat is our output voltage, and here is the curve which is shown, that is, this is the transfer curve. So it is VCC minus V out, the maximum V out is VCC minus VCE1 sat. Okay. So this is the transfer characteristics of the emitter follower. Okay. So here the negative side minus VCC minus plus VCE sat 2. So this linear characteristics is obtained by neglecting the changes, small changes in VBE with IL. The maximum positive output is determined by the saturation of Q1. In negative direction, the limit of the linear region is determined by Q1 turning off or Q2 saturating, depend on the value of I and RL. So depending on this value, so Q1 may turn off or Q2 may saturate. So therefore the both are shown here. Okay. So if it is turned off or saturated, so two values are given. Okay. So here it may be minus I into RL, or it may be this one minus VCC plus VCE2 sat. So this is the transfer characteristics of class A stage of class A output stage. So in negative direction, depending on the value of I and RL, the limit of the linear region is determined by Q1 turning off. So this limit is determined by, if Q1 is turning off, then V out minimum is given by minus I into RL as shown is in this diagram. If Q1 turn off, so then the voltage is minus I into RL. If it saturate, then what is the voltage? That is minus V plus VCE sat, VCE2 sat. This one, if Q2 is saturating. Then the absolutely lowest output voltage is given by this expression and is achieved provided bias current I is greater than the magnitude of the corresponding load current. So that it is assured when this current must be greater than the magnitude of the corresponding load current. So load current is what? V by R. So V is minus VCC, that is VCE minus VCC divided by RL. It is magnitude, the sign is not considered. So when this current is greater than this, okay, so then we are this operation is Q2 saturation is assured. So the transistor will operate in this region. So this is the condition when it is satisfied. So next discussion is the signal waveform. So again we are recalling the same circuit. So consider the operation of the circuit of the emitter follower. For a sine wave input, neglecting the VCE sat, we can see that if the bias current I is properly selected, if this current is properly selected, then the output voltage will swing from minus VCC to plus VCC. So if this value is correctly chosen, then output voltage will swing from, if VCC is 10 and this is minus 10, so the output voltage will swing from plus 10 volts to minus 10 volts, like that. So with the quiescent value being 0, so as shown in 14 point A and 14 point B shows the corresponding waveforms of VCE1, this expression. So this is the diagram. So 14 point, so this is the sinusoidal waveform which is chosen, 14.4a and 4b. So this is plus So therefore the signal is oscillating between plus VCC to minus VCC. Okay, here in this diagram the signal is from oscillating from here, as again the same. So here it is, the shift is there. Okay, corresponding waveform VCE1 is equal to VCC minus V1. Now assuming that the bias current I is selected to allow a maximum load current of VCC by RL, the collector current Q1 will have the waveform shown in figure C. So therefore the next condition is, assuming that the selection of I is to allow the maximum negative load current. So in order to allow the negative load current, okay, so this is the waveform which is shown here, okay, figure C. And finally figure D shows the waveform of instantaneous power dissipation in Q1. So this figure shows instantaneous power dissipation in the transistor Q1. So therefore it is given as PD. So instantaneous power dissipation, as the time changes, this is also changes. We are getting it in the form of sinusoidal waveform. So this is the instantaneous power dissipation waveform. Okay. So next topic is power dissipation. Okay. So as we saw here, figure 14.D indicates the maximum instantaneous power dissipation in the transistor. Q1 is VCC into I. Okay. So this Q1 power dissipation is Q1 is given by VCC into I. Power is equal to VI. So therefore VCC into I. So this is equal to the quiescent power dissipation in Q1. Thus an emitter follower transistor dissipates the largest amount of power when V0 is equal to 0. So it emits the maximum power dissipation when Vout is 0. Since this condition can be easily prevail for prolonged period of time, the transistor Q1 must be able to withstand a continuous power dissipation of VCC into I. This transistor must be able to handle the power that is dissipated, that is VCC into I. The power dissipation in Q1 depends on the value of RL. So power dissipation in Q1 will be depend on the value of the load resistance RL. So consider the extreme case of the output open circuit, that is RL is equal to infinity. When the open circuit at the output, so then the load resistance value is infinity. In this case the collector current is equal to I is constant, and the instantaneous power dissipation Q1 will depend on the instantaneous value of the output voltage V0. The maximum power dissipation hence is V0 is equal to minus VCC. So at that time, so when it is open circuited, load resistance is infinity. At that time the output power dissipated is minus VCC. So in this case VC is maximum and 2 VCC, and PD1, the power dissipation is equal to twice the VCC into I. So this condition however would not normally persist for the prolonged interval. So the design need not to be conservative. So we observe that open circuit load, the average power dissipation across the Q1 is given as VCC into I. So average power dissipation we need to consider as VCC into I, that is the power dissipation. A far more dangerous situation occur at the other extreme, RL, specifically when load resistance is 0. What happens? We need to see that. In the event of output short circuit, a power positive input voltage would theoretically result in an infinite load current. In practice, a very large current may flow through the transistor Q1, and if short circuit condition persists, the resulting larger power dissipation in Q1 can raise its junction temperature beyond the specified maximum. If RL is equal to 0, then So large amount of power will be dissipated in Q1 because large current is flowing through the transistor Q1, causing the Q1 to burn up. So what happens? The transistor will burn up, it will stop working. To guard against the such situation, the output stages are usually equipped with short circuit protection. So such things should not occur, that is load resistance should not be 0, so that short circuit connection should not be occur. So short circuit protection is given. The power dissipation in Q2 must also be taken into account in designing the emitter follower output stage. Therefore Q2 conducts a constant current I and maximum value is twice VCC. The maximum instantaneous power dissipation of the transistor Q2 is given as 2 VCC into I. This maximum power dissipation occur only when Vout is equal to VCC. When the output voltage value is equal to VCC, then the power dissipation across the transistor 2 may reach maximum value, that is twice V into VCC into I. So a condition that would not normally prevail for a prolonged time. So most significant quantity of the design purpose is average power dissipation of Q2. So it will not happen for more time. So average time for power dissipation of Q2 is VCC into I, whereas average power dissipation of Q1 is also VCC into I. So we need to consider power dissipation, average power dissipation of whether it's Q1 or Q2, any transistor, we need to consider it as a VCC into I itself. So maximum is 2 into VCC into I. Now the next topic is power conversion efficiency. So power conversion efficiency of a output stage is defined as, so efficiency is given by load power by supply power. So output by supply power, so therefore it is PL divided by PS. From the emitter follower of the circuit shown in 14.2, assuming that output voltage is a sinusoidal with the peak value of V0, the average load power will be, so we'll observe the 14.2 diagram. So this is a 14.2 diagram. Okay, so these are the waveforms. Okay, collector current waveforms A, B, C, D. So this is VCE1, this is Vout, this is PD. So for emitter follower of, assuming that the output voltage is a sinusoidal with a peak value of V0, the average load power will be given by, so RMS value, average value is equal to RMS load power value is given by, so V RMS by root 2 whole square by RE square by RL. This is also one more expression. Okay, so average value they have given, so we are taking for those are the plot for RMS value, so VRMS by root 2. Okay, so this is the average load power V by RL. Okay, E square by R, so E square is nothing but V0 by root 2 whole square by R. So if we solve, so we are getting this expression. Since Q2 is a constant, Q2 is having constant current I, the power drawn from the negative supply is VCC into I. Then the average current of Q1 is equal to I, and thus the average power drawn from the positive supply is also VCC into I. So therefore the total average power, so power dissipation across Q1 is also VCC into I, Q2 is also VCC into I. So the total power dissipation is given by PS is equal to twice VCC into I. We are just adding the two power dissipation across the two transistors. Then equations, these two equations can be combined to yield. So when these two equations are combined, so we are getting the efficiency expression as, because since this is PL, we are substituting this in the numerator, PS is in the denominator, we are substituting PS expression in the denominator, which results in this expression. So we are just grouping it separately. Okay, so this is the So this is the expression we obtained for the efficiency. Okay. So here V naught is less than or equal to I into RL. V naught is less than or equal to VCC. So we obtain maximum efficiency only when V out is equal to VCC is equal to IRLs, and all these terms will cancel. So we'll get maximum attainable efficiency is 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 is equal to 0.25. So in percentage, so maximum attainable efficiency is 25%. So this is the maximum attainable efficiency. Because this is a rather low figure, the class A output stage is rarely used, because we are getting only this much efficiency, 25% efficiency. Therefore, the class A type of output stage is rarely used in high power applications. So note that in practice, the output voltage swing is limited to lower value to avoid the transistor saturation and associated nonlinear distortion. Thus, the efficiency achieved is usually then to, after all, this is the maximum achievable efficiency, but usually practically we will obtain efficiency in the range just 10 to 20%. So it is output stage we are rarely using this class A type of the amplifier op-amp, or that is output stage. So next is class B output stage. So this diagram shows the class B output stage. So here we are using BJTs, which is just like an inverter. So here we are using PNP transistor, here NPN transistor, here we are using PNP transistor. So it consists of the complementary pair of transistor NPN and PNP connected in such a way that both cannot conduct simultaneously. If P transistor is conducting, then N transistor will be off. If N transistor is conducting, P transistor will be off. So alternatively they are operating. So this is the load current IL, which is measured across the RL. So all the output stage for class A and class B, we need to learn only three things, that is efficiency, transfer characteristics and power dissipation. Okay, so coming to class B output stage, this is a circuit diagram. So we need to learn transfer characteristics of the class B output stage. So this is the transfer characteristics of the class B output stage op-amp. So output voltage is given by this expression, that is VCC minus VCE side. Okay, N side. So here at the negative cycle, so we are having minus VCC plus VCE VEC P sat. Okay, the sketch of the transfer characteristics of class B stage is shown in this diagram. Here note that there exists a range of Vi centered around the 0. Both the transistor are cut off. So here centered around the 0, here for the sum range. So if we are having a 0 voltage, both transistor are operating in, since both transistor operating in a cutoff region, so V out totally for plus 5 volts and for minus 5 volts of the input, it is 0. So this is a dead band, results in crossover distortion. So this we call it as a dead band. So this results in crossover distortion. Okay, so which is illustrated in the next diagram. So this is the crossover distortion in the class B amplifier, which is shown here. So you can see, observe here. Okay, since it is not continuous, okay, this leads to a distortion in the output. So this is the transfer characteristics. Okay, this is the signal which is applied. So this is the output we are taking. So this is the crossover distortion that is introduced. The effect of crossover distortion will be most pronounced when the amplitude of the input signal is small. When the amplitude of the input signal is very small, then the crossover distortion is very much large. And crossover distortion in audio power amplifier gives rise to unpleasant sound. So usually in audio amplifier, this type of crossover distortion will cause unpleasant sound. Okay, so here in the waveform you can see here, this is the crossover distortion. So next is power conservation efficiency. To calculate power conservation efficiency eta of the class B stage, we neglect the crossover distortion and consider the case of the output sinusoid of the peak amplitude V0. The average load power will be, so average load power PL is given by E square by R. So it is 1 by 2 V0 square by RL. The current drawn from each supply consists of a half sine wave. So why this 1 by 2 E0 by E0 square by R? Only half, because class B conducts for only 180 degree, only half sine wave. So that's why we are taking half of the power. Half sine wave of the peak amplitude. Thus the average current drawn from each of the two power supply will be V0 pi by RL. So this is a peak amplitude. So average power is given by V0 pi by RL. This is the voltage across each peak of the half sine wave. So that this follows that the average power drawn from the each of the two power supply will be same. That is positive power supply and negative power supply. The power drawn will be same. That is 1 by pi V0 by RL into VCC, and the total power, total supply power we will consider. So twice, since we are having two power supply. So this plus this is for one power supply, this is for another power supply. So this is 2 pi by V0 by RL into VCC. So then the efficiency is given by, so we have the efficiency expression, that is PL divided by, so here in class A we have written, right, the load power divided by power supply, PL divided by PS. If we substitute here, same. So that is PL expression is this, PS expression is this. Okay, so load power divided by power supply power, if we substitute, so we are obtaining this expression. The efficiency is given by load power divided by supply power. So we are obtaining pi by 4 into V0 by VCC. Okay, so it follows that maximum efficiency is obtained when V out is at its maximum value. So maximum efficiency means numerator value will be large. So when the numerator value will be large, the V out will be its maximum. So this maximum is limited by saturation of Qn and Qp. So V out is limited by the two transistor Q1 and Qp to VCC minus VC sat, or it is equal to VCC. So at this value of the peak output, the power conversion efficiency is, okay, so when this maximum will be almost VCC, the possible value is VCC. So VCC numerator denominator cancel. Okay, maximum efficiency attained will be eta max is equal to pi by 4, that is we are obtaining 78.5%. So this is the pi by 4, if we evaluate, you are getting this. So this value is much larger when we compare with the class A. So in class A, maximum attainable efficiency was only 25%. Now in class B we are obtaining 78.5%. So finally we note that the maximum average power available from class B output stage is obtained by substituting V out is equal to VCC in the expression. So PL max is given by load power is given by 1 by 2 VCC square by RL. So then we'll discuss regarding power dissipation. So unlike class A stage, so which dissipates maximum power under quiescent condition, the quiescent power dissipation of class B stage is 0. When the input signal is applied, the average power dissipated in the class B stage is given by, so power dissipation in a class B stage. So power dissipation in class B stage is given by source power minus load power PS minus PL. So substituting from the expression of source power and load power, so this is the source power expression, this is the load power expression we are substituting here. From the symmetry we can see that half of the power PD is dissipated in Qn and another half in Qp. Thus Qn and Qp must be capable of safely dissipating 1 by 2 of the PD. Okay, if Qn and Qp both are dissipating half of the power dissipation, so PD depends on the value of V out. So we must specify the worst case power dissipation PD max. So now we are evaluating this worst case power dissipation as PD max, that is by differentiating this expression with respect to V out and equating the derivation to 0. So we are getting the worst case maximum power dissipation condition. So therefore we are differentiating this expression with respect to V naught and equating this expression to 0. So which results in the maximum power dissipation as we evaluate that we are getting that what is the condition that maximum power dissipation occur, that is V out, when the V out value is 2 by pi times the VCC, then only the maximum power dissipation will occur. So when we substitute this value, when we substitute this V naught value in the expression 14.13, so we are getting the maximum power. So what is the maximum power dissipation then? 2 VCC square divided by pi square into RL. So therefore this is a total power dissipation contributed by both the transistor, that is N transistor, and P transistor, that is Qn and Qp. So for each transistor Q, that is P transistor and N transistor, we can say that the power dissipation is VCC square divided by pi square RL. So that if we add, we are getting this expression. So at the point of maximum power dissipation, the efficiency can be evaluated by substituting from the expression. Okay, that is can be evaluated by substituting from the expression 4.20 into the expression. So when this value is substituted in the expression 4.15, this efficiency, if we substitute that, so we'll get the efficiency value as 50%. We substitute in this expression, okay, V naught value, so we'll get the efficiency as 50%. So whereas here we got it as 78%. So this shows the sketch of power dissipation of the class B output stage versus amplitude of the output sinusoid. So this is the power dissipation versus output. So when this is the output varies from 0. Okay, so how your power dissipation, when the output voltage increases, then power dissipation also increases until the value 2 VCC by pi. So after which the power, though we increase, the output value is increased, so that will be decreased. So here is the efficiency, that is eta is equal to 50%, and PD maximum is given by this expression, and at the value V out is equal to VCC, we are getting the maximum efficiency, that is 78.5%. So that is what the power dissipation of class B amplifier. So next we are discussing class AB output stage. So this is the class AB output stage of the op-amp. Crossover distortion can be virtually eliminated by biasing the contemporary output transistor of the small non-zero current. So in the case of class B amplifier, we that is previous amplifier, we saw that there was crossover distortion that is introduced. Okay, so here the crossover distortion can be eliminated by biasing the output transistor at small non-zero current. So it is eliminated by biasing the transistor at non-zero current. The result is class AB output stage as shown in this diagram. So this is the class AB output stage. So it is similar like your class B amplifier, that is Q1 and QP. So here the bias voltages are given. Okay, so that is VV by, here the DC voltages are given. The bias voltage VBB is applied between the Q1 and QP. So here we are applying the DC bias voltage between the Q1 and QP. For VI is equal to 0, Vout is equal to 0, the voltage VBB by 2 appear across the base terminal. When both input and output voltage values are 0, then these voltages are applied across Q1 and QP transistor. For value, assuming that the matched devices, the current IN and IP is equal to, then the quiescent current IQ, which is given as IS into e to the power of VBB divided by 280. So this is the current expression. The value of VBB is selected to yield the required quiescent current IQ. So this VBB current is selected to yield the required quiescent current IQ. So here the circuit operation. So actually when Vi goes positive by the certain amount, the output at the base Q1 increase by the same amount and the output become positive at an almost equal value. So when the output is positive, then the output expression is given by this expression V1 plus VB by 2 plus VBE of N transistor. So that is the output expression is given here, Vout as V1, this is V1 plus VBB by 2, okay, this voltage minus this drop, that is VBE of which transistor? VBE of N transistor. The positive voltage Vout cause the current IL to flow through the RL, and thus IN must increase, that is the current IN is equal to IP plus IL. IN current is given by IP current plus IL current. Okay, so then VBB is given by VBEN plus VBP. Okay, here this VBB is given by the base or VBB is given by VBE across N transistor and VBE across P transistor. So what is VB and this we are using from the expression, so it is VT into ln IN by IS. So for N transistor it is IN, for P transistor it is IP, and VBB is given by this expression, okay, that is quiescent current divided by saturation current. So whereas IN into IP is given by IQ square. So thus IN increases, IP decreases. When the current IN increases, then the IP current decreases by the same ratio, while the product, that is IQ square, remains constant. When the product remains constant. It can be combined by IN and for given IN, and the solution is a quadratic expression. So quadratic expression is this. When we combine the expression to 14.25 and 14.26, so here we are substituting here, okay. So then it is given by this expression. So using this expression and this expression, so here in place of IP we are writing from this expression what is IP, In minus IL. So In into In minus IL is substituted in this expression, and sending this IQ square to LHS, we are obtaining this quadratic expression. So from the above equation we can see that for positive output voltage the load current is supplied by that is N transistor, which act as a output emitter follower. Meanwhile, when P transistor is conducting, then the current that decreases as V out increases. For large V out, the current in P transistor will be ignored altogether. For negative input voltages, the opposite occurs. That means when the load current is supplied by the P transistor, which act as the output emitter follower, then Q transistor conducts a current that gets smaller as V1 becomes more negative. So relating IN and IP holds for negative input as well. So the conclusion is that AB stage operates in much same manner as a class B type of amplifier, since the circuit is also same, with one important exception, that is for small input voltage both transistors are conducting. When the Vi is increased or decreased, one of the two transistor takes over the operation. Since the transistor is smooth one, the crossover distortion will almost be eliminated. The main aim is to eliminate the crossover distortion in the case of class AB, or else the class B amplifier was working well. So the problem or the limitation was crossover distortion that was introduced, which is eliminated here in the class AB stage. Okay, this is the diagram. If we see the transfer characteristics here near the zero, the output voltage is 0. We are not having any output, so we will just see that. So class B transfer characteristics. So this was the class B transfer characteristics. So near the 0, almost for the input from minus 5 volt to plus 5 volts, the output voltage is almost 0. That's why, so like this, the crossover distortion was introduced. So now that is eliminated here in the class AB output stage. So now you can see here in the transfer characteristics. So now the output resistance. So this is the circuit looking into the network from the output terminal. So this is the circuit diagram to determine the output resistance. We assume that the source supplying V1 is ideal, and then the output resistance of the class AB stage can be determined from the circuit shown. So then R out is given by RE of N transistor parallel with RE of P transistor. Okay, so RE of N transistor, emitter resistance of N transistor parallel with RE of P transistor. When REN and RP are a small signal emitter resistance of QN and QP respectively. So here REN and REP are the small signal emitter resistance of transistor QN and QP. So at a given input voltage, IN and IP can be determined by REN and REP and are given by, so where REN is equal to, it is determined by the current IN. So VT by IN gives REN, VT by IP gives REP. So if we substitute these two expression in the above expression R out, so we are obtaining this expression. If we solve, we are getting the output resistance as VT divided by IP plus IN. Okay, since IN increases, IP decreases. So why? Because we have discussed here in this expression, when IN increases, then the IP decreases by the same ratio, whereas the output remains constant. So recalling the same thing. Okay, so and the vice versa, the output remains approximately constant in the region around when Vi is equal to 0. So this effect is the reason for virtual absence of the crossover distortion, At larger load currents, either IN or IP will be significant. At larger load current, either IN or IP will be significant, and ROut decreases as the load current increases. The output resistance ROut decreases as the load current value increases. Okay, this decreases as the current value increases. Why? Because denominator value increases, then output resistance value will be decreased. So next discussion is the class C output stage. So in the class C output stage, the transistor is biased such that it remains off or no signal condition and operates in saturation region when the input signal is present. So in class B amplifier, transistor is biased such that it remains off for no signal. When the signal is not applied, then it must remain off. When it is operating in the saturation region, so it will operate in the saturation region when the input signal is applied. So for this we have designed this class C amplifier. When the transistor is off, the current through it is very small and hence the transistor dissipates negligible power. So when the transistor no signal is applied, so it will remain off. There also there is a small substrate current will be flowing, so therefore negligible power will be dissipating. Similarly, when the transistor operates in saturation, the voltage across it is very small, and again the power dissipation is also small. So therefore in class C amplifier, as the transistor dissipates less power, its efficiency is higher and as that of the class A amplifier. However, class A amplifier is highly non-linear and produces distorted output. So this is the drawback of class C amplifier is to overcome by connecting a low pass filter. So this limitations are overcome by connecting just a LPF, low pass filter, at the output. So low pass filter block all high frequency harmonics are passed and only the signal frequency to the load. So this is the schematic diagram of the LC tuned, that is RC output, that is class C output stage amplifier. So this is the schematic diagram of the class C amplifier is shown. So while the input and the output waveform at the collector terminal are shown in next diagram. So this is the input waveform and this is the output waveform, okay, at the collector terminal. Okay, this is VCE side. So this is the output at the collector terminal, output voltage at the collector terminal. Only for the negative cycle it is conducting. When the input signal is positive and above the cut-in voltage of the transistor operates in saturation. During this period, the output voltage is equal to the saturation voltage of the transistor and remains a constant as long as input signal is above the cut-in voltage. When the input signal is less than the cut-in voltage, then the transistor remains off. While induced EMF in the inductor provides the collector voltage as shown in the figure, that is waveform. The output voltage is fed to the low pass filter. Okay, so here the output is fed to the low pass filter. The low pass filter suppresses the high frequency harmonics at the collector and produces the output to the input signal. So here directly we are not getting the output, it is applied to the low pass filter where it will remove the harmonics and the output is presented. So this is the output at the collector. Here for this duration Q on, for transistor is on for this duration. For this duration the transistor is off. So last topic of this chapter is efficiency of class C amplifier. So for this we are considering the circuit, the model of the class C amplifier for calculating efficiency. Okay, so this is the simple circuit diagram which is obtained from the basic circuit diagram. Okay, this is the circuit diagram we are rewriting. So to derive an analytical expression for the power conversion efficiency, the class C amplifier is modeled as shown in the figure, and the corresponding output waveform is shown in the figure. According to the model shown, the collector voltage when the transistor is off, the switch is open is given by, so here the collector current when the transistor is off, then the switch is open. At that time Vc is given by, Vc is equal to what? Vc sat plus Vm cos omega t. Okay, so when the transistor is off, the switch is open, then Vc is given by, so Vc is, now when this is open, so we are measuring between this end to this end, so whereas this will not come into picture, so here it is Vc of t is nothing but Vc is at, okay, this voltage Vc is at plus Vm cos omega t, that is the voltage that is applied. When the transistor is on, this will be on, then it is short circuit, so it is connected, then Vc of t is given by Vc is at. So what is the voltage between these two nodes? So that is Vc is at. So this is the output waveform. Okay, so Vc of t, Vc is at to Vcc we are getting when the transistor is on, here when the transistor is off. So next, however, in class C amplifier, the time average value Vc of t must be 0, as the DC resistance of the coil used is approximately 0, and hence we can write, so that is 1 over t integration from 0 to t is Vcc. As Vc sat is very small compared to Vm, the above expression can be modified as, so this expression we can modify it as Vcc is equal to, instead of writing this, Vc sat plus 1 over t integration of 0 to t by 2 into Vc of t. So if we substitute for Vc of t as Vm cos omega t, so when we integrate this term, okay, over 0 to t by 2, so we are obtaining Vm by pi. Okay, so therefore when we equate it for Vm, so we are getting this expression. So the DC power supply is given by, whereas PDC is given by V into I, VCC into IC, where IDC is the average value of the supply current. So here IDC is the average value of the supply current due to the blocking capacitor. The same average current flows to the transistor when it is in saturation. The power dissipated by the transistor is given by, so the total power dissipated by the transistor is hence given by PT is equal to Vc sat into IDC. So similarly, the remaining power must be useful as AC power across the load. Hence, the AC power across the load PAC is given by PDC minus PT. Okay, so PDC minus PT. So PDC is VDC into IDC, whereas PT is in above expression. We substitute here. Okay, taking IDC commons, we'll have PAC is equal to VCC minus VCE sat into IDC. Hence the efficiency of the class C amplifier is given by efficiency eta is equal to PAC by PDC. Okay, so when we substitute the above expression, we are getting efficiency as 1 minus VCE sat divided by VCC after simplification. So when these two values are same, that is it may be that is efficiency is 0, but VCE sat is very small. Practically VCE sat is very small compared to VCC. Therefore the efficiency of the class A amplifier is very high, since VCE sat value is very less compared to the VCC. This numerator value is very small compared to the denominator. So 1 minus this numerator is very small compared to denominator, means this value is very small. 1 minus the value which is very small is subtracted, so it will be almost equal to 1. So practically we can achieve the efficiency of 90%. So this is all about the third module, that is feedback amplifier, output stages and power amplifiers. So thank you dear students. Here we will conclude this third module. The problems are attached in the below link. Okay, wish you all the best.